This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
AB Supply, this is Richard.
Richard, my name is Will. I'm a little contractor, one of your little people in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm at a customer's home looking at a back door that has a 9-pane half window at the top half and a steel door at the bottom with 2 little panels. And she's looking to add a deadbolt, and the logical place to put the deadbolt would be above the normal handle. But it's got this glass, this 9-pane glass window. And so I'm looking for a deadbolt that has a shorter than average back set.
Well, you came to the right place.
Well, I already knew that. You've been my go-to tough problem-solving hardware company for years, and I know if there's anything specialty out there, you would have a handle on it, and you don't carry junk, so it would be a solid product.
Well, we do carry junk. I mean, we sell the lowest grade 3 import stuff because, there's a lot of landlords out there that need that's what it calls for. The application is best served by something very inexpensive. So at the end of the day, though, your application is actually, like I have this conversation once a week. So at the end of the day, the Kaba Ilko has a...
Spell that?
They make Kaba, Kaba, and then Ilko, ILCO, which stood for Independent Lock Company once upon a time. They make their 45 series deadbolt. Now that bad boy, they actually offer it with a 2-inch back set. And from 6 feet away, it looks just like a deadbolt, although it doesn't project off the face of the door as most do. The issue, though, is I think it's going to need a minimum hole diameter of 1 7/8. So now you're at 2 15/16 from the edge of the door to the center of that to the edge of that hole. Then you've got the diameter of the cylinder collar that's there. So you'd really, really have to have a good maybe 3 3/8 style to fit this on.
Hold on, I'm measuring it to talk.
Okay.
Well, 3 3/8 would be a little bit less than the average Schleg.
Yeah, well, true. And because
I could cut into the trim a little bit.
Yeah.
Is there anything with a smaller diameter scutcheon?
Well, sure. I'm just trying to save you money. Let me. And this Kaba is only 3/8 shorter than standard. Let me actually grab. I've got one in my hand. Let me put the tape measure on it because I'm guessing at 3 3/8. Okay. So, okay. What's the diameter? 1.25 inches. Yeah, it's going to be 3 1/4. A hard 3 1/4.
Hard 3 1/4.
Yeah. 2.5 on the OD. Yeah.
That's doable, although it does. I am running into window trim at 3 inches.
Yeah, you don't want.
What else? What are other options?
So, in the world of locks, there's lots of things that will do this job. The next easiest one that comes to super easy. The easy one that comes to mind.
Okay, so real quick before we leave the Kaba Ilko, what was the price point of that 45 series?
Oh, probably $80.
Okay. Now moving on.
You would be dealing with a mortise lock. So you could install typical aluminum storefront hardware that would have a bolt or a deadbolt or a hook bolt or even a slam latch for that matter. And the reason that those can work is because they're back sets. On any aluminum door you've pulled open, it's probably going to have this hardware if it doesn't have an exit.
Well, this is a rental quality steel door.
Oh yeah, no, it's metal clad. It's back in the old days we'd call that a trooper door.
Trooper, okay.
9 light trooper door.
And you know, and it's got foam core right inside. Foam. Not a lot of wood. It would be awkward to get a mortise, I think, in there. Although they kind of already put one. They already put one on the end on it. They already have a mortise in here, believe it or not. At least the hole they have, like, what size is this hole? It's like a 1-inch hole, and they have like a little metal plate reset with a couple spots for the screw to go through. So, anything else?
Well, no matter what, you're going to have to create some sort of holding method for the latch or the lock body in the edge of the door. So that's the first stumbling. Oh, well, shoot. No.
Do you have a can I take a picture and send it to you real quick? Is there a way for me to send you a quick picture?
You can, yes. Of course, there's always the option of just putting the deadbolt below the lock. Atypical, but nonetheless, or very high on the door. But I'm familiar with those door edges. They have wood in the edge. They could be metal. They could have metal stiles, but there'll be wood underneath there.
Yeah.
And
where can I send these pictures to? Can I just give me a quick phone number?
283-8210. That's all you had to dial.
Yeah. Right. 239
315
315
7889. All right, bear with me. Okay, let's pull up some pictures here. Yeah, yep, that is not outside of the realm of what I expected you to send.
Okay. Thank you for taking a look at this picture. I appreciate it.
So, what would you like for me to address in these images?
So, in an ideal world, is there something that can go above the handle, in that little section of the edge to the door trim? Now
sure.
the first part of that door trim starts at like 2 7/8.
Yeah, so the Kaba with a 2-inch backset's not going to work. Period. You're going to need a narrow style. You're going to need a mortise body that will have a small backset. You can do Adams Right. You can do things much more expensive and far more robust than the typical aluminum storefront. They'll work. You're going to have to cut a rectangle. You're going to have to add mounting tabs, and it's easy peasy.
Add mounting tabs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Yeah, so you got to have some way to attach the lock body to the door, right? So unless there's wood underneath there, you'll need to add an offset plate, top and bottom, that will give you somewhere to attach the lock body to.
Let me send you one more picture. Let me take one more picture close up. And get the light just right. Okay, I'm going to send this again to repeat those phone numbers again.
239
239
315 7889.
Okay. So it does look like the way the door is built, just inside the metal, they've probably given us a 1/2 inch of wood. And you'll see it in the picture.
Yeah, there's a little bit there. Yeah.
Just a little bit. Would that be enough? That measures 1/2 inch.
Not really. I mean, considering the fact that it's half-inch, that's not a lot. The thing
Correct.
is, you do have steel edges and you have steel faces, so it's probably okay. And if it's not, you'd have to add mounting tabs, which would probably be inferior to a half-inch worth of wood. It's, the bottom line is, what's the bottom line? You have the wrong door for what you want to do.
So another door could be changed out, and then the problem solved. Right.
You gotta, you've got to have things that are compatible, and So that door started out as obviously flush. They then cut a hole for a 9 light.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, that is really possible that somebody did that. When you think about this being a back door and you're trying to make it secure, at the end of the day, a real thief that wants to get in is just going to break out that corner glass, reach around, and unlock it and come right on in. He'll be in 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're all walking around with a master key. It's our shoe.
Yeah. Right.
And the quick set Tylo that's there's just not much security there, so I could certainly understand wanting to increase it. What you could you could put a Dutch door bolt on the inside of the door, so that when the door is closed, you could just slide a Dutch door bolt. It's a good piece of heavy solid brass. And again, someone can Lloyd that latch bolt, the whole ubiquitous putting a credit card thing, but you put a bolt up there, or down at the bottom of the door that it bolts. I'd rather have it at the header, or you get more exotic with it. Okay.
All right. So you've given me some really good options to think about. I don't think I'm ready to pull the trigger on any of these options yet. Let me talk with the owner and explore maybe just, if the whole point is really to have security, the whole glass thing really negates every effort we're trying to do.
Well,
right now, the way it is, it just keeps an honest person honest. But it doesn't keep a bad guy out.
Right.
Okay.
I would probably also add to that there's a budget, and the hardware that I've described when that door was purchased and installed was less than the hardware you and I are discussing, meaning things need to be in relationship to each other, proportional. You spend hundreds of dollars on a deadbolt, put a surface bolt down there and be done with it. Right,
of course. That would make sense. All right. Richard, you're awesome, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. If I want to reach back to you, what do you have a direct line?
The number I gave you twice, 239. It rings me only. Only me.
239. Repeat that again. I wasn't writing it down.
It'll be in your text history, but it's 239.
Yes.
315.
Yes.
7889.
Got it.
Awesome.
Thank you for your tolerance and your patience with me, man. I appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
Okay, let's break down what I said to the client. So first of all, the Kaba Ilko 45 series, it's going to look not unlike this. Typical deadbolt. What's nice about this series is that it takes mortise cylinders. If it's a single cylinder, you'll have a thumb turn on the inside, but you can always order a double cylinder and put a mortise thumb turn. And the reason that we would do that is when we have an unusual door thickness. I talked to a client earlier today who had a 2 7/16 thick door, and so you can use typical builder's hardware 1 5/32 mortise cylinders. But what's nice about the Kaba Ilko platform is you can buy these less cylinder, and you can toss into it your ASA Twin, your Medico 4. You can put in your what is that Japanese cylinder manufacturer that makes magnetic cylinders? The point is you can put anything in here you want, as restricted high security as possible, assuming it comes in a mortise cylinder or not.
So 2-inch back set. Now I measured the diameter of this. It's 2.5. So we got 2-inch plus 1.25 is a hard outside. So 3.25. And let me show you the catalog for this. Double cylinder, single cylinder. But again, you can just take a mortised thumb turn on the other side. So it's a 45 series. 2 is the function. Single, double, or classroom function. Classroom function, I think what they're trying to say with that is that you can always unlock it, but you can't throw it from the inside. Think bathroom in a high school setting. You can never lock it. You can only unlock it. So the third position is your back set, 2-inch back set with a 1-inch front. So this would be the first choice. However, it's too big. Second choice. I had said to the client that I would probably do an Adams Wright mortise. Well, actually, this is a lock body. Let's type in an MS 1850. That'll get us closer to it. Yeah, so this sort of concept would certainly work. What's nice about that is it has these locks. Well, of course, this lock is only 1.5 back set, but you can do these in 1.125, probably 31/32, etc. So 1.5 back set, that would probably be ideal. The overall depth of the body is 2.25. So yeah, that would be really perfect. You would then mount it to the edge of the door, and it's very likely that the 1/2-inch amount of wood, which I'll show you, that's the client's door. Here is, as you've already seen, here is a close-up of the edge. And then even a greater close-up. Here we go. There we go. That MS 1850 is good because it's got a 1-inch wide edge, as does this. You know, at the end of the day, you could make this work. And what I would, well, can you? Yeah, you could probably make it, well, shoot. Yeah, you could probably make it work. Darn it. You'd have to set that lock body down here. The cylinder's going to be up here. The idea would be to, if that's only 1/2-inch worth of wood, and you're going to have to mortise, my guess is every bit of 3/16, if not a 1/4 inch, so there won't be a lot of wood left. The good thing, though, is that the door does have metal clad faces and steel edges, so there's not much wood there. It'll hold it in place. I believe it'll hold it in place, and quite frankly, you may be able to get your finger inside the cylinder hole and literally use a machine screw and nut on the back side of that to hold it through the wood. That would probably be okay as well. Or, you know, you may be able to mortise the door and get a block of wood. After you're going to cut the edge of this door, you might be able to sink a block of wood in there and glue it and make that block of wood, you know, you just use something that's a 2x4 and rip it down. So you could probably do that. So it's an idea. I like these locks because they're inexpensive and they're narrow style back sets. The other one I had mentioned is the same concept from Accurate Lock, and I will show that to you. And we're going to pull up their catalog for this. And I think that's a 90, maybe a 9100 series. I just sold one to a client that had a 4-inch thick door, 3.5-inch thick door, 3.125, and only had like a 3-inch wide stile. So this is not what we want. Here we go. Yeah, I think it was an 8600 series. 1.25 back set, 1.5 back set, 1.75, 2 and 2.25. And that's a mortise body, is what that is. That's a proper commercial grade mortise lock. So the client could absolutely make that work as well. What's the advantage? It's going to be extremely durable. It's not going to give you an advantage when you've got 7/32 of an inch. That's obviously just shy of a 1/4. So you're only going to have 9/32 of wood left. But the client could install the Adams Wright mounting tabs that I had mentioned. And these are extremely common in aluminum storefront because you need to have something for storefront. And here they are, universal mounting tab kit. You're going to cut that rectangle, that rectangle on the edge of the door, and then you're going to drill into the edge of the door itself here and here. And you'll attach the tab to the edge of the door. And this part of the tab is going to hang down in this area here, where then in this hole is where you'd insert the screw for this. You'd have to, you know, what I like about the idea is that this, I don't know what the gauge of the steel is. It's probably 24 gauge, so it's not a lot of steel. But you could certainly put a, these are probably 832 at the most. You could put a nut and you could put thread lock. And listen, if someone's going to kick it in at that point, you know, have ADT come would be my recommendation. So the mounting tab could work, and you'd use that for either the Accurate or the Adams Right. I was initially thinking that there may be a rim lock that would be petite enough, but the length of the body is really, I think, going to be too long for the application. I don't know how wide that is. It may fit on there, and that could be an idea. The problem is the tailpiece for the cylinder on the outside is going to be over here, so this type of rim lock may not be sufficient because it may simply be too wide. And then, of course, I had mentioned the Dutch door bolt. It doesn't have to be a Dutch door bolt, but I like them because they're petite in terms of length. They are extremely robust because they're made of, I think, 5/8 diameter metal. The downside, and I'm trying to, yeah, so the 054 is a typical Dutch door bolt from Ives. The downside of this, obviously, is they're short because it's a Dutch door bolt. If you're short, you probably won't be able to reach up and be able to throw that at the top of the door, perhaps put it at the bottom. But you may have noticed there were longer bolts that are called Dutch door bolts. They're just, I wouldn't call a 24-inch decorative bolt a Dutch door bolt, because you would never use a 24-inch bolt on a Dutch door. They're far, far shorter. So you can do a decorative surface bolt that's long, 8-inch, 12-inch, 18-inch, 24-inch, and I think up to 60-inch, in fact. And where you would use those is when you have incredibly tall doors and you don't want a ladder to have to lock or bolt the top of the door. So something like this could work. And, you know, super easy. A dimension, 4-inch. The A dimension would be 4-inch, so nice and short. You could also do an Ives. Ives made or still makes their 02 surface bolt. Really petite. It's going to drive me crazy. IDH, we'll find it. Surface bolt. IDH. Yeah, right here. Ives is who I would know. I think it was the 02 was the part number. So they make these bolts really, really short, like this 1.5 inches, and I've sold this to clients who they now have children that are now mobile. So the child is 1 year old, and they don't want them to pull the door open and take a header down the stairs to the basement. So you can install that up at the top, because the child at that point is not going to slide a chair up and be able to unbolt that. But they make those in different lengths. I think up to 8-inch. In fact, I thought it was 6-inch. So it's petite, it's narrow. It'll certainly do the job to the extent that you can do the job. And in this application, you would certainly use the rim strike. And where you would install that would be, let's say that we have our header. Here's our door. Door swings in. That rim strike is meant to go here and just project off the face of the header, because the bolt's going to come here and go up like this. That's what that's meant for. Anyway, if you have any questions on any of this, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up.
Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.